Consumption habits of millennials. A little bit about Mr. Omar Abedin. He's advised brands across multiple categories and has also developed and launched 3 startups. In 2014, he joined the newly formed Al Ittihad Credit Bureau in the UAE and has also published a book titled Building Brand You. Over the past 25 years, he's loved working with organizations that value innovation, insight-based decision-making, team development, and drive towards developing powerful brands as part of the culture. He is an absolute change agent and a growth driver, and has shared some very interesting insights with me on the break, and I'm actually curious to know a lot more about those. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Omar Abedin.
Thank you. Thank you for that very kind introduction. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Those of you who were born after 1980 know what this is? Do you guys know what this is? Wow, what an overwhelming response. No one has, how many people know that this is a selfie stick? If everyone know, can you put up your hands if you know it? Okay. Well, okay, some not millennials also. Awesome. So I'm going to start by taking a selfie, because that's what I do. And if you're connected with me on LinkedIn at all, you know this is what I do. So look forward to posting this. And now I'm done. That was my presentation. Thank you all so much. So can we get the presentation up, please? Oh, awesome. So I work for a small media buying house. For those of you who don't know what we do, we basically take money from our clients and spend it for them to help them achieve their objectives in terms of reaching their target audience. I actually, when I got into looking at this in a big way, I realized that definitions of what a generation is are not exactly consistent. Forget about between America and Pakistan. Even within Pakistan, if you talk to different groups of people, different people have different ideas of what constitutes a particular generation. So it's an average period, considered about 30 years, during which children are born and reach the age of maturity, become adults. I would say that there are 2 major generations represented here today. The other important insight for me was that generations are defined by the year in which you are born, not by how old you happen to be. So when I reach 70, if I reach 70, which seems doubtful on certain days, I will not become part of the silent generation. I will never be part of the silent generation. The silent generation was the generation of my grandparents. These are people who were born between the age of 25 and to 1942. And for many of the people in this room, they are indescribably distant from this group of people. Especially young people today, it's very hard for them to connect. The next group of people are represented here to some extent today, are baby boomers, born between the years 1945 to 1964. Baby boomers run companies in Pakistan. They own companies. They are directors of companies. They are extremely influential, not only in Pakistan, but globally, because people are aging. They're not leaving the planet. So they are wealthy. They have money, power, disproportionate to the size of the population they represent. The third group, of which I am a card-carrying member, is called Generation X. I don't know why it's X, it just is, because I think this was the first group that actually came across technology. We are the prototypical digital immigrants. We were exposed, I remember going to IBA way back in the day, and discovering this wonderful tool called MS-DOS. Half the people in this room haven't heard of it. Or if they have, they're like, okay, MS probably stands for Microsoft, but we have no idea what DOS is. How many people here remember the 5.25-inch floppy disk? Wow, everyone remembers a 5.25-inch floppy disk. Do you ever remember saving something to that thing and then sitting on it? Or leaving it in the car and coming back and it's like that? And you're like, oh no, that was the only copy I had of my project, which is, 5,000 words of absolute garbage now. And now we walk around with that. And it has more storage capacity than 50 computers back when we started. So Generation X, I believe, is an awesome generation. We're absolutely tremendous. The challenge is, though, I'm a millennial trapped in a Gen X body. So millennials are, yes, they are a demographic, but it's also a mindset. And all millennials are not the same. A millennial in the rural parts of Pakistan is not the same as a millennial in Karachi or Lahore or Islamabad. Within those cities, Karachi, if you believe the census numbers, Karachi has a population of 18 million people. If you don't believe the numbers, that Karachi has a population of 30 million people. 30 million people is the size of Saudi Arabia or Canada, which is the second largest landmass country in the world. If you're telling me that every millennial in Karachi has the same mindset and the same attitude and values and beliefs as everyone else, that just isn't so. So understanding this group of people is becoming essential. The latest and greatest model is called Generation Z. It's also called the I generation, and I has many meanings. It's I for iPhone. This is a generation that grew up, as was pointed out by speakers before me, kids who have never not had a screen in their hands. Never. They've always had a screen in their hands. They're also called I because they're obsessed with themselves. They're absolutely, completely self-obsessed. And it's a fact. And they don't see it as a negative. They see it as, well, if you don't love yourself, who else is going to love you? So let me demonstrate how I love myself. These are 300 selfies that I will take today and share on Snapchat with my 100 streaks that I'm maintaining. Why am I maintaining streaks? I'm taking pictures of the floor and sending them to 100 people. Why? Because I must. Because Snapchat has dictated that I must. Otherwise, I'm a loser, and my friends will hate me. So, completely different sets of challenges. The years that each of these groups of people were born in defined what that generation became. So if you look at some of the events that have defined past generations, the silent generation was defined by the Great Depression, and they called it the Great Depression because they were far more honest than we are today. It was a generation that was affected primarily in the US, to some extent in Europe. The rest of the world didn't care because we weren't that interconnected. Nobody gave, we heard about it, I guess. Our parents read about it in the newspapers back in the day, and they said, oh, haan, bade mushkil aayi hai wahan pe goron ke liye. And then we shrugged and went on with whatever we were doing. It didn't really matter to us. But it did define the psyche of that generation living in the West. Baby boomers in North America, the Vietnam War was their big thing. Their watershed moment, where they got to define who they were and what they stood for. And an interesting aside on that, jeans, these things, they were a sign of rebellion in the 60s and 70s. People who wore jeans were hippies. They were flower children. They were people who were rebelling against the man. And now, you got a 50-something person standing on a stage wearing jeans because, you know what, I grew up with this and I'm not going to stop wearing jeans because I'm no longer a rebel. So people now, when they wear jeans, what kind of jeans do they wear? Do they wear what I'm wearing now? No, they tie their jeans so low down on their butts that I'm shocked at how they actually stay on. And that is a sign of my age, that I'm shocked. Those people are shocked at the uncle jeans that I wear and the fact that I actually wear a belt. Belt पहनते हैं jeans के ऊपर, हाँ, इस तरह थोड़ी पहनी जाती है jeans. क्या पता इनको? अब आप उनको explain करते रहे कि भाई इंसानों की तरह jeans पहनते हैं तो इस तरह पहनते हैं, हैवानों की तरह पहनते हैं तो आपकी तरह पहनते हैं. उनकी ज़बान पे आपको आके बात करनी पड़ती है. Generation X, we had the AIDS epidemic. People were dying, scourge of God, all kinds of political stuff. For millennials, 9/11, defining moment around the world. And it was probably it resonated more around the world than most other events because that was when the internet was becoming a global phenomenon, where instant news sharing, image sharing was becoming a thing. And of course, it affected the lives of everyone. Dr. Cordero mentioned the war on terror. That was the day the war on terror officially was born and is still being played out in different markets. Other notable events, the internet and the tech boom. So the crazy investments in internet infrastructure that took place in the 90s, everything crashed in the year 2000, but the infrastructure was born. So the people who invested in those early days mostly lost money, but the infrastructure was born and it was created. And everyone is benefiting from that today. The recession in 2007, 2008, people in Pakistan are very proud of the fact that we were relatively unscathed in this global recession. And again, why is it called a recession? Because people don't like the D word. Otherwise, by all definitions, it was a depression. You can't really call something with such deep and long consequences with such a mild name. But we can because it's about optics. It's about how we spin it for the masses. So the Great Recession of 2007, 2008 had an impact around the world. Not so much in Pakistan. Lucky Pakistan. The war on terror is something that is ongoing. If you travel on a Pakistani passport, if you are male between the ages of 18 and anything, and you happen to have a beard, just as icing on the cake, you will be randomly selected 100% of the time for extra screening if you travel to the US. In fact, if you travel over the US, or travel anywhere near the US, even if you're going to Canada and the plane is actually over US airspace for 0.01 seconds, you will be screened by the TSA. And you may be declined access to your airplane, just as a fact of life. Other images. Millennials didn't grow up with Ziaul Haq. They didn't grow up with, or they had the understanding of children of what actually happened in the 80s and the 90s. They didn't realize the formative things that were taking place in Pakistan during those 20 years. They read about them. My family has returned to Pakistan. I've returned to Pakistan after 21 years abroad. My family's never studied here. My kids have never studied here. My son is now reading about the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, which is awesome. I'm very happy about this. It's one of the reasons that I came back. But he's asking me very basic questions about why did this gentleman do this? And I'm like, you know what, please go ask your grandfather. Because I cannot give you a simplistic answer to a very complicated problem. Now, there's another problem with him going to talk to his grandfather about these political issues. Because obviously my father, his grandfather, has a very complicated view of history. So he takes him back. Beta, 1940s, ये शुरू हुआ था, and then he brings him forward. And my son is completely confused, but he's getting a much bigger picture than what I would probably be able to give him. I think it's important for us to know our history. It's important for us to understand where we are coming from as a nation so that we can figure out where it is that we want to go. And I don't think we know where it is that we want to go as a nation. So let's now dive into millennials, because whether we like it or not, roughly half the country is millennials. That's a lot of people. In fact, I think the technical parlance is a shitload of people. That's a shitload of people. And I guarantee you that the vast majority of people sitting in this room do not understand this group of people at all. And the worst thing is that you think that you understand them, because a little bit of knowledge is a very dangerous thing. So, Dr. Saab, you deal with 4,000 of them a day. Hats off to you. I deal with 150 of them a day. And oh my God, it's so much fun. I kid you not. Every morning brings spectacular new challenges, things that I would never have envisioned myself doing on a daily basis to keep a media business afloat and, clients serviced and channel people happy and. Now, the good news is we do have a fairly good understanding of who they are. At least we're getting there. 25% of millennials are students at this point. So we call them unemployed or underemployed. Some of them have part-time jobs. Some of them do internships. Some of them do other things. Some of them run their own websites. They run their own blogs. They run freelance businesses because they can, because they're really good at what they do. 8% of them are business owners. 11% of them already have jobs and have entered the workplace and are the most misunderstood group of employees in Pakistan today, because people from older generations do not understand them. They try and motivate them in the same way as they would motivate a Gen Xer. They try and give them the same working hours. They try and give them the same clothing standards. If someone comes to work in jeans, they are sent home because jeans are not appropriate attire. And millennials are like, are you effing kidding me? Why do you care what I wear to work? चड्डी तो नहीं पहन कर आ रहा हूँ ना, चप्पलें तो नहीं पहनी हुई मैंने, काम करने के लिए आया हूँ. आपको मेरे काम से मतलब है या मेरे पैंट से मतलब है कि मेरी क्रीज जो है वो सामने यूँ निकली हुई है या साइड पे यूँ निकली हुई है, या मेरे जूते जो है वो शाइंड हैं कि नहीं शाइंड हैं. अगर मैं जूते ना भी पहनूँ तो आपको क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है? But we really don't understand how to engage with people. There are certain behaviors, thought processes, attitudes that this group have and share in common. The first one is what I call a sense of entitlement. This is a plus and a minus. Mostly it's a minus. Every millennial that I know thinks and expects that one day they will be famous. For what? I don't really know. But I will be famous. Why will you be famous? Well, I will be famous because look, they're famous, and they're famous, and they're famous. And I can tell you today, if I ask the majority of people in this room to name 5 people that millennials think are important, none of you will be able to identify more than one of those people. Because the people that they consider important and relevant and thought leaders and drivers of their views, you don't even know who they are. You honestly have no idea. I didn't know. I've started looking into it, and I'm going to share a couple of videos with you. I'm sure you will have seen those videos. And for those of you who have not seen those videos, prepare to have your minds blown. There will be mini mushroom clouds forming over your heads. Some of you will be repelled, some of you will laugh, some of you will be like, yeah, that's old news, that was last year. That guy's done 14 other videos after that, and by the way, they've all got 25 million views. So this sense of, I will be famous, then starts informing a great deal of the decision making that these people make. So where do they spend their money? Where do they spend their time? Where do they spend their energy? Those are things that come out of this sense of self. When we were growing up, we were always told कि दूसरों का पहले ख्याल रखें. Millennials don't have that point of view. मैं पहले अगर अपना ख्याल कर लूं, तभी मैं किसी और का ख्याल कर सकता हूं या कर सकती हूं. So the me factor comes first. And that's a different mindset. I'm not judging it. I'm just telling you that's the way it is. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you will be able to actually understand who these people are and how to actually get them to add value to what it is that you're trying to do, because they have a lot of value to add. They're extremely tech savvy. These are people who came into a world with technology and embraced it and are doing stuff with it that the majority of people in this room will not be able to understand. I'm not saying that in a negative way. The reality is the way that they're using technology is beyond the majority of us. And I include myself in that, even though I try really hard to somehow stay relevant and stay up to date with what's happening in the world of technology. It's not intuitive for my generation, and it's certainly not intuitive for the generation before us. The third thing, which is at odds with this self-confidence, is a need for validation. In the old days, you had a group of friends, and they validated you on a morning, evening, and nightly basis. Now, it's a global audience of people who are providing input and insight into how you look today. Does that lipstick work with that particular brand of eye makeup? Or with your skin tone? Or with the fact that you happen to be, dry-skinned as opposed to oily skin? People will comment on your Instagram or your Snapchat from 8,000 miles away. You've never met them, you may never meet them, but they are your validation. They are the people who you listen to. Their opinion is much more important than your mother's, even in some cases your sisters, your cousins, or your actual real-life friends. It's a very strange environment. They are very open-minded, but at the same time, they're very opinionated. So I've had 21-year-olds come into an interview and say, so I've asked them, the typical, why do you want to leave your current company? And said, well, it's been, I'm not growing, I'm not developing as an individual. And you're like, huh? How long have you been working? It's been 8 months. मतलब भाई 8 महीने में मेरी प्रमोशन नहीं हुई है हैं? Okay, मतलब क्या उम्मीद है? What are you looking for? So I want to be a director by the time I'm 25. That's the goal. It's not that I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to develop, I will get to my goal is to be a director by the time I'm 25. And then what? What will you do after that? Oh, I don't know. When I get there, my life will have changed dramatically. I will have the things that I want. I will have the nice car. I will then be able to afford to have a nice wife. My life will be completely set, and after that, I will coast until I retire. From the age of 25 to 65, I will coast to retirement. Really? I don't get it. And I'll say that to you. And I've interviewed 100 plus millennials in the last 6 months. Hired my fair share of them too. But this mindset is incredible. They're socially conscious. They are aware of the importance of social causes. They are looking for brands with purpose. They're looking for companies that can provide much more than functional attributes. मेरा चावल इतना बड़ा दाना है और उसकी वजह से आपके चावल जो हैं फुले फुले बनेंगे. Okay, where's the social responsibility? Where's the angle that says my company gives back 20% of the proceeds of our entire revenue in the year to supporting these causes because these causes are important to me? So my daughter recently ordered something online, $19 from a company in freaking Brazil. Brazil. Why? Because their makeup is made by handicapped women who are the victims of abuse in their homes. And she's a feminist. My daughter is 17 years old, and she's like the world's most rabid feminist. You tell her there's something that a woman cannot do, and she'll go out and do it just because you said that she can't do it. And she's 17. So do you imagine that these are people that are easy to understand, easy to wrap your heads around, easy to figure out and crack? This is the term, right? Cracking millennials. What do you mean cracking millennials? They're not nuts that they need to be cracked. They need to be understood. They need to be understood. So, how do we reach them? 85% of them watch TV. That's great. Does anyone here know how many TV channels we have in Pakistan today? Anyone? How many? 84. Anyone else? 100? 100? Anyone else? 110. 110 licensed TV channels. You notice the word licensed. These are people that are officially broadcasting in Pakistan today. So that makes our lives a hell of a lot more complicated, because all of a sudden, it's not, I grew up in the era where एक टीवी चैनल था, जिंदगी इतनी आसान थी, 8 बजे रात को पूरा पाकिस्तान खाली हो जाता था. खाली. क्यों? क्योंकि तन्हाइयाँ आ रहा है. और आपको पता है कि अगर आप 1 मिनट लेट हो गए तो you'll miss it. Oh my God. तो 8 बजे पूरा ख़ानदान जो है बैठा होता था टीवी के सामने, और आप अपना वो देखते थे, और आप वो एड्स भी देखते थे, क्योंकि एड्स के लिए लोग उठते नहीं थे, क्योंकि पता नहीं वो कब ब्रेक ख़त्म हो जाए और अचानक वो सीरियल शुरू हो जाए और आप बाथरूम में फंस गए. सही है ना? तो मतलब एक दूसरा ज़माना था. और अब जो है लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, we have this phenomenon called integrated screen planning or video neutral planning. People are watching TV, yes, they're watching content, but they're not watching televisions. They're watching phones, they're watching iPads, they're watching other tablets, they're watching computers, they're doing all kinds of things. And I've just been told my time's up. Really? Can I go on for a few more minutes? Because I have a lot of stuff to get through. Okay, I'll make it faster. Digital, 23%. And why? Because roughly 40 million digital internet connections in Pakistan. Many of them are on mobile. Many of them are actually, in fact, there are more mobile connections than there are home connections for the internet in Pakistan. Not surprising. Out-of-home continues to be a big one everywhere except in Karachi, where the out-of-home ban continues in full strength. Print continues to be important, even for millennials in Pakistan, which is interesting. 2 hours a day of TV viewing time for millennials. In Saudi Arabia, that number is 8 hours a day. Millennials in Saudi Arabia watch 8 hours of TV a day. Can anyone tell me how much time you think they spend on the internet every day in Saudi Arabia? How many? 14 hours. It could be, but the average is 8. And guess when they're doing this? It's between 9 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. and 5 a.m. 8 hours of TV, 8 hours of internet together at the same time. साथ साथ WhatsApp के भी 25 ग्रुप्स चल रहे हैं, चैट्स चल रही हैं, मैसेजिंग चल रही है, वीडियोस YouTube भी चल रहा है और TV भी चल रहा है. All of this is happening in parallel. This is what we have to look forward to as a country. This is where we are heading. As internet penetration grows, as the number of people who are actually on the internet grows, the amount of time that is being spent on the internet will increase dramatically. So what content do they like? This is what they grew up with. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, the horror show. What content do they like now? You've got Coke Studio. You've got, all kinds of dramas. Bulbule. The good news is the latest season of Bulbule is coming back. So, yay. I haven't actually gotten into it myself in a big way, but it's a big thing in my household. Rural versus urban. These are actual numbers based on actual data that exists in Pakistan today. 19 million urban millennials, 39 million rural millennials. Internet penetration on the urban side is higher, so 3 million millennials in the urban areas have access to internet. Only 1.9 million rural millennials have access to the internet. So they are clearly, and we have this split by gender, we have this split by age. The data exists and is getting better and better in Pakistan every day. So let's look at this guy. His name is Nasir Khan. He's an imaginary character. He doesn't have internet on his phone. And I apologize in advance if someone is called Nasir Khan here. We're not talking about you. The name is a coincidence. He's a shop owner. He's married. He uses social media to upload photos of himself, basically, and his family. Now, I'm going to show you this video. I'm sure some of you will have seen it, and some of you will have liked it and shared it. And it's okay. I'm not judging you at all.
हेलो गाइस, आज आप लोग देख सकते हैं कि मेरे हाथ में केक है और आज ये केक मैं खाने वाला हूँ और वो भी एक ही मिनट के अंदर अंदर मैं ये केक खाने वाला हूँ। ये केक चैलेंज है और मैं इसे आप लोगों को करके दिखा रहा हूँ।
Oh, okay, I can't watch this. I'm sorry. Do you know how many views this video has had? First of all, do you guys know who this is? No one in this room knows. Oh my God. So this guy, okay, I want to talk to you after this session, okay? Why do you know who this guy is? This gentleman fits a completely unique profile. He is a rural-based, ethnic Pathan, openly gay socialite on Facebook. He has millions of followers. I'm not joking. This is Pakistan. Do you know how many likes that video had? 25 million. 2.5 crore Urdu mein. That's the dumbest video that I've seen in the last 4 hours. I'm not joking. And he has hundreds of these videos. Super intelligence. जी आर्ट बिल्कुल सही फरमाया आपने. आगे चलते हैं. This is Sarah. She is a millennial from KLI. She loves Coke Studio. She loves to travel. She goes to Dubai to shop. She loves to read. She uses Twitter to basically tweet inspirational quotes. This is something that Sarah might share.
अगर ऐसे अपने घर को गंदा नहीं करते तो मुल्क को क्यों करते हो? मुल्क गंदा नहीं, हम गंदे हैं. इंसान बनो.
So, in the interest of full disclosure, the Ministry of Civic Sense is not a real ministry. It does not exist, but it should. And so it's something that we created at at the company that I work at. And the purpose of this ministry was to start sending out messages. Now, this video also got 25 million views, all by itself. The diversity of content and the diversity of opinion that exists within the millennial cadre in Pakistan is mind-blowing, without any question. So 15 to 20 million people in the millennial subset, if you will, who are regularly online every day. They're watching dramas, they share clips, they're watching live sports, they're watching news, music, cooking shows. And what are they searching for when they're looking to buy something? Sports, fashion, entertainment, education, cooking again. Cooking is a big thing for Pakistan. You guys know this already. There are parts of Pakistan, like Lahore, where basically the entire topic of conversation is, what are we going to eat next? And I say this with massive respect. At breakfast, you're discussing lunch. At lunch, you're discussing dinner. And at dinner, you're making plans for brunch the next day. Because that's our life. We're obsessed with food. 1/3 of all millennials say that they will actually prefer to cut off one of their arms rather than lose access to the internet. They cannot survive for 1 hour without a phone. It's called withdrawal. They actually go through similar symptoms to someone who is suffering from cocaine or heroin withdrawal. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What are they doing? They're receiving videos on the phone. They're emails, they're chatting, games and entertainment. They are watching TV and they're listening to radio online. So our traditional methods of reaching them are being challenged every single day. Their favorite apps include this one. Have you guys used the Cat app? Anyone here use the Cat app? 5 or 6 people are willing to admit that they have used the Cat app. For the rest of you who have actually not used it, it's an app with a cat that mimics everything you say in a cat voice. Because, you don't really know how to live until you've heard what you're saying repeated in a cat accent. And you can also slap the cat. Why? Because all cats need to be slapped at some point. That's the rationale for making this one of the top 10 apps in Pakistan. Jesus Christ on a white horse. That's all I can say. The apps, the sites visited here are no surprise to anyone. Facebook is right up there. The news websites are up there. And of course, YouTube, which has now become, YouTube by itself, has now become the single biggest TV station in Pakistan. More videos are watched on YouTube every day than the rest of Pakistan, any individual TV station in Pakistan. That should tell you something. What brands do they love? Brands that are seen as authentic. Brands that have a purpose, that are seen as actually being true to themselves and standing for something bigger than selling more product. No surprise, millennials love to shop, malls and department stores, so if you're looking for activation ideas, this is where you're going to go find them. Their online shopping behavior there's a term for it, it's called web rooming. Web rooming means you go search something online and then you actually go and buy it offline. Why? Because most people in Pakistan still don't have access to credit cards or bank accounts or other mechanisms. So my driver will find something on Daraz and then he will give me the money and say, boss, ye zara mere liye order kar denge aap. Kyunki mere paas 800 rupees ki cheez hai. It's not that he doesn't have the money. He just doesn't have the ability to go and order it online. He will. It's only a matter of time because now Google, for the first time, has enabled Urdu search in Pakistan. Can you imagine? Urdu search is on. 4 weeks. The world is going to change for Pakistan. Not surprisingly, the most commonly bought items are fashion, technology, and food. Food always comes up. Food is a top 3 anywhere. I'm going to take 1 minute to tell you about something that we've done at our agency. It's called, we have an affiliation with a company called Oracle, small company, you might have heard of it. They have this data management platform called BlueKai. BlueKai currently has 20 million user profiles, validated user profiles through cookies for Pakistan. For those of you who don't understand what any of that meant, I get it. If you'd like to understand what it means, come and see me. I will tell you what it means. But in a nutshell, if you're trying to reach pretty much any audience in Pakistan, Oracle BlueKai data already exists for you to target those people in a very, very, very cost-effective way. That's what that means. So the data is already there. Out of the 40 million people on the internet in Pakistan, 20 million of them are on this one DMP. The rest of Pakistan is not far behind. It's going to happen. So when you look at the future of millennials, by 2025, millennials will be 40 years old. They're not going to be the young, angry crowd that exists today. I'm getting the hook. These people are becoming more and more affluent. They have a longer life expectancy. They are going to focus on different priorities than the rest of Pakistan. If you would like to be a part of this, if you or your organization needs to understand millennials at a deeper level than my kids are millennials, therefore I understand them, please come and see us. Small sales pitch, I had to end with that. Thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum.